Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Well, let me see who's here, and then we'll get into it, shall we? Um, Boy, I tell you, the news is coming fast and furious. Marcia Ware, thank you so much for being here. Happy Thursday to you too. Although it's not happy for everyone. Elaine Parker, thank you for being here. Marcia Ware and Food Church, Nellie Legs, Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer. Mick Cooper, thank you for being here. Marcia Ware, did I say that already? Robin Hyde, Elaine Parker, and Perlina Answer, and a host of friends and others. Okay, I'm going to scroll all the way down here. Hey, Nelson, it's been a long time, right? Okay, let's get into it then, shall we? oh, oh, what a twisted web we weave when first we practice to deceive, right? Right. Okay. So, there once was a man named Dan Wootton who thought he could do whatever he rootin' tootin'. Hey, Marcia Ware. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Sherry Ware. What am I saying? Um, Mabel Jones, Manello. Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, that man named Dan Wooten reminds me a lot of that man from Nantucket. Either way, there's a certain alphabet involved, since I can't say the word. But either way, you get it. Okay. Um, hey, Berta Sanchez. Oh, 1 second, you guys. Let me do a little break beat here. Okay, so as I was saying, where was I? All right. Hi. Let me see who else is here. Phyllis Johnson, Kathy Gabby. All right. All right. Okay. And there we go. So, Dan Wooten was a serial bully at the Sun, but bosses promoted him as complaints were silenced. In the two parts of this investigation, Tom Latcham and Dan Evans writes examine the professional conduct of the TV presenter at the tabloid. So this is the second part. I believe they said there were going to be three parts to it, right? So this is the second part. So I've actually pre-recorded this. So sometimes I make my handful of mistakes when I'm going through these things, and I want you to hear it all very precise and very clear. So I made sure that I meticulously um what do you call it, pre-recorded it. So I'm going to share that with you very soon. As a matter of fact, there's no time like the present. I was hoping that we could get some more people in here, but we got almost 400. So are you guys ready for it or what? I will do the pre-recorded. I'm also going to share this later as a separate video of its own. Okay. So on that score, you'll be able to hear it. So I think it's about 10 minutes long, perhaps. Yeah, it's about 10 minutes long, but I did pre record it because I am going to share it later. Okay. But I'm going to play it for you right now. So, anyway, I hope it doesn't get disrupted or anything like that. Let me bring that over, and you guys can hear the article through and through um in my own voice. Okay. Um, okay. Here we go. All right. Dan Wootton was the subject of at least 6 bullying claims from colleagues while working for The Sun, but was promoted by the newspaper as complainants were silenced with large payoffs and non-disclosure agreements, Byline Times can reveal. The allegations against the journalist today, a star presenter for GB News and columnist for Mail Online, range from constructive dismissal to age discrimination, while several witnesses have also described a culture of sexual harassment under Wootton. It follows this newspaper's revelations on Monday that Wootton used the online pseudonyms Martin Branning and Maria Joseph, among others, to trick and bribe scores of men into revealing compromising sexual material for tax-free sums of money of up to £30,000. Representatives for Wootton have been asked by this newspaper to confirm or deny whether the presenter was or is connected to Branning. Neither Wootton, in his GB News statement on Tuesday, nor his representatives have yet clarified this point. He denies any allegations of criminality. Byline Times has now spoken to multiple former editorial and support staff at Britain's biggest tabloid, many of whom are fearful of being identified after their experiences working at Murdoch-owned News UK, with one left suicidal, another suffering stress-induced hair loss, and others deserting the industry. For that reason, we are protecting their identities, although they are known to their former employer, which last night, in response to a request for comment sent by Byline Times, contacted all staff at The Sun, announcing that it was looking into our allegations urgently. Among questions to the publisher, Byline Times asked it to confirm the earliest date of any record held digitally or in analog format containing the names Martin Branning and Maria Joseph. News UK declined to respond, but did not deny that all 6 individuals received severance payments contingent on the signing of binding restrictive covenant or non-disclosure agreements. The cost of the legal proceedings and settlements is estimated to be more than £1 million. Its internal email to staff said, "Various allegations have emerged online and been reported over the last few days in relation to Dan Wootton, who many of you will know worked for The Sun between 2013 to 2021. The matters reported are obviously very serious and include allegations that certain actions of Mr. Wootton may have affected some members of staff at The Sun. We are looking into these allegations urgently and wish to hear from staff who may have been impacted or have relevant information. You were either with him or against him." As part of a 3-year special investigation into 40-year-old Wootton, details of which we will continue to publish over the coming days and weeks, Byline Times is today examining his professional conduct while employed at The Sun. While News UK last night urged potential complainants to go to The Sun's corporate affairs team if contacted by external media for comment, this newspaper is taking care not to reveal the sexes or job titles of the 6 people, whom it is understood are not the only ones who feel they were bullied or harassed by Wootton. In one of the cases, a very senior member of the Sun team took a kitchen knife to a meeting with a former editor of the newspaper with the intention of slitting their own wrists in front of the executive, who had sided with Wootton in a dispute ultimately settled for a 6-figure sum. The Sun made the payout at the 11th hour, at the steps of an employment tribunal in 2018, at which emails from Wootton disclosed to the employee's lawyers would have entered the public record and led to judicial findings of fact. Former staff have told Byline Times investigators how Wootton continually tried to make people admit they were bisexual or gay. He challenged people on their sexual orientation all the time. Several sources have spoken of the sexual harassment of male colleagues, while at least 2 female colleagues were reduced to tears daily by his conduct. Naming 3 particular targets of very inappropriate behavior, they said,
He sexually harassed these male colleagues all the time. One would come in and Dan would often comment on the way he looked and goad him, saying, "Are you sure you want to be married? We all know you're gay." He was pressuring them to turn gay and acting like it was a joke, but people, men, women, everyone who heard, were visibly uncomfortable, especially as it was coming from a boss. A different source said, "You were either with him or against him. If you were against him, he would make your life a misery, and if you were with him, he would treat you as a slave. He'd demand people run errands for him, get him food or drinks, or do his dry cleaning. It was so demeaning, but it amused him. If you wanted to stay in your job, there was no choice but to endure." Byline times can reveal how another complainant started losing their hair with stress after working closely with Wootton, whose conduct as the Sun's executive editor was characterized as being one who considered himself untouchable. He made you feel helpless. Another News UK staffer was marched from the company's headquarters after being undermined and constructively dismissed for months and months by Wootton, before standing up to him with a complaint to the paper's then editor. The staffer said, "It was ridiculously stressful. He was constantly condescending and sarcastic. Diaries of his behavior were kept, the things he was doing. As the boss, he had control over the company payment system. He would sabotage other journalists. He would go into the payment system and find out the names of contacts. He would then get in touch with them himself and make them deal with him directly. It was impossible to do your job. The most valuable thing a journalist has are their contacts. They are our stock in trade." It was a classic campaign of constructive dismissal. He knew what he was doing. A different member of staff became thinner and cried every day they worked for Wootton, who they said destroyed them physically and mentally. Another editorial worker said, "There were months and months of real bullying, mind games, and heavy emails, often late at night, so bad they ruined your sleep." Just as News UK started asking questions last night about Wootton's conduct there, bringing in external legal counsel to oversee a human resources investigation, Byline Times can reveal that it is not the first time Wootton's relationship with its HR department has been questioned. In October 2018, Private Eye reported on admissions about Wootton, without naming him, regarding an investigation into the subject of bullying complaints a year earlier. The magazine told how a tired and emotional former head of HR, Rachel Martin, who, like Wootton, is from New Zealand, had told a group of journalists drinking in a pub by News UK's Central London HQ that she had tried to protect Wootton during a probe she was overseeing into his conduct. Private Eye reported how the Sun journalists questioned Martin's impartiality, given she was seen enjoying Wootton's hospitality in the official News UK executive box at the O2 while her investigation into his behavior was ongoing. Byline Times has learned that one of the Sun 6 on legal advice went above Rachel Martin with their complaint in 2018. As a result, News UK was obliged to use HR professionals attached to a sister company, Wireless, to oversee an investigation leading to a large settlement. Martin left the company and went back to New Zealand soon after. A source at the Sun said, "Dan got so many perks and so much access it was easy for him to ingratiate himself. He made sure Rachel Martin was like his best mate." Demands for another promotion. The list of complaints about Wootton did not stop News UK from promoting him and giving him pay rises and ever more prominent positions at the newspaper, but he had a decisive falling out with current editor Victoria Newton. In February 2020, on her first day in the role, Wootton left Newton furious by demanding she promote him, prompting a cute move by the new editor, who reached out to Wootton's best remaining royal contact and placed them on a special retainer, ensuring that they dealt exclusively with her. A source said, "This was the beginning of the end for Dan at the Sun. He didn't like having the same move pulled on him that he had done to so many contacts of other people." Less than a year later, Wootton left News UK for his current position at GB News. Over the years, Wootton has used his Twitter account, on which he has 518,200 followers, to criticize others accused of bullying, including in January 2020 when he tweeted, "As one of Philip Schofield's closest colleagues at ITV for many years, his comments on the bullying reports are also very revealing. I would never negate those allegations because they are valid. If these people are all coming forward, then there's no smoke without fire." Whoa. He also used his bizarre column in The Sun in October 2017 to take aim at the sexual harassment carried out by fallen Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. In the first-person article, he condemned a disgusting conspiracy of silence that he claimed had been engineered by some of the most powerful and famous men in Hollywood to protect a beastly individual with a long and well-known track record of the most appalling and potentially illegal treatment of young, innocent, and sometimes naive women. Wootton also used his platforms to regularly discuss the use of NDAs and their legal validity in the private lives of a number of celebrities, including TV personalities Ant McPartlin and Paul Hollywood, despite the Sun Six being subjected to them.
Oh, hello, Marcia Ware, Mad World, Joyce Yvette Davis. Okay, so I pre-recorded that one. I'm going to upload that later again so you can see it individually or share it. I'm also going to go back and do the first column, and then eventually I will do the third one that comes out probably next week or perhaps this weekend. But thank you all so much for joining us. If you're a little confused, that portion was pre-recorded. Now I'm back here live again. So let's see. Compton Cali Gal, thank you for being here. So that was what came out today. Kind of tough to hear, I know. Very tough for some people, and it may be a bit triggering. However, that is what Byline Investigate has come up with. So let's see. Dan Wooten is serial. Yeah, so this is pretty much the same headline, although yeah, same one. But that's it. I know, speechless, right? He used his power allegedly. He used his authority allegedly. It hasn't been proven in a court of law. That's when that stuff becomes official. But the people at Byline are willing to stick their necks out on the line to make this, case against him. Hello, Carmen Capaya. Is that right? He reminds me a little of Donald Trump in their audacity to think they are untouchable and above the law. Yeah, I could see that. I see that. Let's see. Florence says, thanks, Baron. Well researched information regarding the horrible, evil little man. Let the law take its course. He must never, ever demean the Sussex family. I'll throw in there again. He should never be able to do that again. But yeah, it's a very sordid thing, and to the people that have been affected by that monster, allegedly, um, wow, what they must have been going through. Because if you are in journalism, chances are you're in it because it's something that you love, or perhaps you wanted to make a difference in this world, or additionally, perhaps it's a family business. Like there's quite a few. Well, as I mentioned some time ago, there's quite a few reporters um, in the UK where they are, the second and third generation of people in the press. And of course, they usually have gone to public school, some of them, and 70, 80% of the editors and the journalists Well, they all seem to be connected. They all seem to be from the stratosphere, the upper stratosphere of wealth and income, and of influence. So it's like a revolving door. Uh, Hi again, Miranda Rios. Okay, let me see here. How is the sun? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me highlight that. How is the Sun going to investigate if they had complaints and paid them off and protected him? That is a good question. That is a good question. I mean, did you get the part over $1 million has been paid out? And $1 million, considering the severity, does not seem like a lot of money. But then again, a lot of these people that were doing a lot of the dirty work for the tabloids, they don't seem to get a lot of the money either. It seems like the big money comes from the people like a Dan Wootton, or greater still, the company itself seems to get the bulk of the big money. So either way, it's quite a windfall for those who are able to um, navigate their way through all of this. By the way, you guys, there's almost 800. Well, there's 856 people. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Please do not forget to hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed, please do subscribe. Tin says, wow, double, double toil and trouble. Fires burn and cauldron bubbles. Sad little man. I hope he doesn't get away with this. Tin, you went there. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love it. I love it. Best thing I've heard all day. Thank you very much for that. And Chef Sandy Love says, hello, squatties. I am loving it. As I have always said, the power of vibration is on, this is just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning. Thank you, Chef Sandy Love. I think Jeffrey Osborne once said that this is the beginning. Da, 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 da. Yeah, okay. I know for certain. Oh, thank you, Chef Sandy Love. Okay, let me see. Oh, poor Wooten is despicable, vile individual, shameful, jail, right? Lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. So, as I mentioned this individual in the past, I'm going to mention this individual again. Backstairs Billy. Backstairs Billy. If you're not familiar, you have to look that up, because this is sounding increasingly like that of Backstairs Billy. Backstairs Billy worked for the Queen Mother, and Backstairs Billy had access to a lot of vulnerable young individuals, mostly from small towns around Britain, people who may have lived a relatively sheltered life in comparison to the very continental ways of some people in Greater London. And when they would come to London for this job that they applied for as a member of staff in the royal household, they would be greeted by Backstairs Billy and his partner. And between the two of them, they would try to, how do I say this? They would probe and explore the intimacies of these young men. Some of them, they would ply with alcohol and such. And the thing is, when you have left your small town, right? Or even if you left the big town, and you tell your family, I'm going to work for the royal family, I'm going to be a footman for the queen or the queen mother. When you do this, it would be such a shame for you to have to go back to town and say, well, it didn't work out. And you're too ashamed to tell them exactly the experience that you may have had because of Backstairs Billy. Backstairs Billy was a serial offender for years, and the Queen Mother knew about it. And that's the thing I want to make sure that I make very clear is that so many times the family members are aware of this, but they prefer someone like a Backstairs Billy because those individuals are not likely to go away and get married or start a family, at least not back in those days. So they were the preferred servants, fiercely loyal. And of course, let's face it, the Queen Mother was a rather jealous woman. And the only queen that she could ever tolerate in her household was her daughter, and of course, Backstairs Billy, and Billy's partner, who also worked in the household. So this is very much a similar situation where someone in authority, as you know, the head butler and confidant of the Queen Mother, used his power and influence to coerce certain things amongst individuals in the household. I mean, it was like an old Three Stooges movie where you ever see how in those old movies where they would chase someone from room to room, and you know they have the camera set at the end of the hall and you see them like a Benny Hill episode. That is the way Backstairs Billy was chasing those individuals around Clarence House. So that's what it sounds like to me. So if you're not familiar, Google the name Backstairs Billy and all shall be revealed. And Billy existed at a time before the Me Too movement. So um, it just goes to show how tolerant the royal family is of these types of offenses. And obviously, when it comes to the publishers of these newspapers and, of course, media moguls, they are equally comfortable with this type of behavior amongst the ranks. So, um, yeah. So, oh, I'm sorry, it moved. There we go. Baron, it is so sad because the unroyals are willing to protect the predators and crucify the victims' shame. But isn't that how it is in so many situations where you have, let's say, a television or movie executive, or perhaps um, let's think about the Today Show. They lost one of the big stars from their morning show because of accusations. Remember that? What was his name? Matt Lauer. He was accused of being, you know, a philanderer. Is that the right word? And he was out of a job. Charlie Rose, a journalist who I loved and respected for years, same thing. Charlie Rose seemingly had some issues and he was out of a job. So this is something that follow powerful men wherever they go. And whether that man is a heterosexual or a homosexual, it does not matter. They feel totally emboldened by the power that they have in those institutions, and they feel very secure in their ability to get away with it. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Came on a little early today, didn't we? Did that catch you guys off guard? Did that catch you guys off guard? I know I'm confused. Um, but yes, thank you all for being here. And thank you so much. Please make sure you hit the like buttons. Also, thank you to the people who are subscribers as well as members of Royal Sussex. The members of Royal Sussex, remember the memberships start at a very low, low price of just $4.99 per month. And with that, you get me, right? So that's it. Thank you so much for that too. Let me see. Um, yes, it did. What did? I don't why. What did I say? What did I say? I don't remember. What did I say? Yes, it did. You know, my man ain't long for this world. Cynthia Henderson says, can't type fast enough to say hello to everyone individually and keep up with y'all. Love you that came on. Love that you came on early, Baron. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. It's always my intention, but sometimes things just don't work out so well. But we'll make it do what it do. All right, so let's continue here. Over 1 million paid for silence. Over 1 million paid. You know, once you get into those types of numbers, you would think that the management would get together and say, listen, we got a problem. Um, why wait until the sky falls? Why don't we just take care of it now? Well, they didn't. And so that problem has come back to haunt them again and again and again, per Dan Wootton. Now, remember, it's important to say that these are things that he has been accused of. Nothing has been proven in a court of law yet. So, and of course, part of living in a Western democracy is that everyone is supposed to have their day in court. So, we'll have to see. Now, one of the ways that the tabloids have been dealing with this is to come up with a bunch of nonsense, the usual rinse and repeat. In other words, uh, enter Harry and Meghan. Biden flies out of London 2 hours after end of Queen Elizabeth's funeral. Prince Harry and Meghan were at the Queen's burial service. So Harry and Meghan were at the burial service, and they were not going to miss that, especially with Harry's position in the family. That was mandatory. So the idea that they were trying to hitch a ride with the president of the United States. And let me tell you something else that I just thought of about that about an hour ago. I said, you know what? They were away from their children for what, 3 weeks? An unexpected absence from their children. The last thing that they would do is to sit around twiddling their thumbs trying to get a hitch to Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, as we know, the Air Force One, I believe it lands at what airport is that? Is it Dulles? Is it Dulles Airport? Whichever one it is in Washington, they don't land at a civilian airport. They land at a military airport. So it's not like they could just walk over to the next terminal and hop on a commercial flight. You know what I'm saying? Do you get me? It is so stupid. Trying to hitch a ride with the president would probably add hours to your return home when there are dozens of direct flights from London to Los Angeles daily. Dozens of them. Oh, Andrews Air Force Base. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. It's Andrews. Dallas. Where is Dallas? Is that in, or is it Nellis? Is that in Las Vegas or something? Anyway, yes, absolutely. Andrews Air Force Base. So they don't even land at a civilian base. And because of that, none of this makes any sense. Not that that has ever, and I do mean not that that has ever stopped the tabloids, but it it is just the necessary type of diversion, which is not working, by the way. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at that No Spare Room. Meghan and Harry tried to hitch a ride with the president of the United States. You know, it's okay to say something stupid every so often, but on a daily basis, okay, Dulles is in North Virginia. Is there a Nellis too? Okay, Nellis is in Las Vegas. Okay, there you go. Dallas, Nellis, Andrews. Andrews is the airport for Washington. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. You guys are a wealth of information. Um, so there you go. It is dumb, it is stupid, and it makes absolutely no sense. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle finally head home to California this week after Queen Elizabeth's death extended their visit overseas. The royal couple flew home from the UK on Tuesday following the mourning period of one day after attending the late Queen's funeral service. So, again, for them to fulfill their obligations, which they did flawlessly, there was no possibility that they were trying to hitch a ride with someone. I think it is like, yes, thank you, Black Queen says, deflect, deflect, deflect. They are so moronic. They cry wolf so many times. It has been rendered ineffective. Thank you, Black Queen. Oh, sorry about that. And here we go again. Duke and Duchess of Sussex leaves the UK and returns to children after the Queen's funeral. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have left the UK after a highly emotional stay following the Queen's unexpected passing. Unexpected, okay, unexpected passing on Thursday, 8 September, and subsequent funeral on Monday. More, why Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were really seated in the second row at Queen's funeral. Who cares? Hello understands the couple flew out of London Heathrow on Tuesday. As previously reported, the pair arrived in Britain's soil on the morning of Saturday, 3 September, for what was due to be a short trip to visit several charities. After 17 days away from home, Harry and Meghan will have been very eager to get back to their two children, Archie and Lilibet. So there you go. It doesn't really satisfy that timeline that they were trying to create. I don't even think they bothered with a timeline. They were just trying to stir up some mess just to divert from the other stuff. And then, of course, we all know this one, which was deleted after it was called out by Nacho as BS. They can delete, but receipts are forever, says one of the squatties. Don't you just love the Sussex squad? Exactly. Jose Williams says Air Force One wasn't going to California, which makes a no sense nonsense of that nutty claim Harry tried to hitch a ride with Biden. Not well thought out lie. Well, it's not even that they're trying to convince people as much as they're just trying to make sure that they keep people angry and keep their chest all puffed out and everything so that they won't pay attention to what's happening with Dan Wooten. As a matter of fact, I've seen several of the deranger accounts and some of the usual suspect derangers. I have seen several of them that have gone into some very traditional Sussex squad spaces, because we have been retweeting like crazy in an attempt to defend Dan Wooten, in an attempt to defend him. Oh, and you know what? Annie Bullard makes a good point. As you retweet this, don't forget to hashtag Dan Wooten Expose. Whenever you retweet it, whenever you you know forward it on your Facebook or wherever, use that hashtag so that way we can keep this on fire. Yeah, and then of course, as things unfold, what was that James Brown said? We're gonna have a funky good time. We're gonna have a funky good time. We're gonna take you high. Do not attempt that if you're not African American. You got to have the right lips for it. I suppose there's a few exceptions, like maybe, I don't know, Mick Jagger. He could probably do that. But oh, you're playing catch up. All right, S. Well, I started off with a pre-recorded portion, and then we went straight into the live. Now that song's gonna be stuck in your head all day, ain't it? So, right here, Dan Wootton. Remember, he was so proud of the fact that he was the one who coerced the Sussexes to admit that they were leaving. While the Sussexes were deep in negotiation, let us not forget Jason Knopf, who is a close friend to Dan Wootton of the Sun Tabloid. Dan Wootton outed himself as having tried to blackmail Harry and Meghan. And of course, Dan Wootton did say here how I really broke the news of Megxit and gave Harry and Meghan 10 days warning to handle the situation before we published in The Sun. My view on why the Sussexes are becoming professional victims. Thank you, Press Gazette. So, Dan Wootton was very proud of that. But that's not the only thing that he's proud of. How about this right here, where he was the one who first brought up Rose Hanbury? Yes, that was him. And it almost seems like, and this is something that the people in the squad have been discussing. They've been discussing the fact that Dan Wootton was like an entertainment reporter, but because of whatever inside information that he claimed to have, he became a royal reporter. He began to report on the royals. All of a sudden, he seemed to have unfeathered access to all the information, like inside information that some of the other royal reporters who have been on the beat for years were not privileged to. Still makes you wonder, doesn't it? Let me see. Okay, I can follow a note. I didn't do well in music class. All right. So over here it says now the Sun have promised to stop printing any more of the Hugh Edwards non-story. Maybe they can now address the allegations that they protected their own sex pest in the not too distant past. So it's kind of hard to see that, but let me take a shot at it. The pontificating of the particular pundit, however, has left former colleagues gobsmacked, given his own past propensity for sexually harassing young men, allegedly, members of the staff who worked for him both inside and outside the office. Members of the HR department at his former employer openly admitted protecting him during investigations into his behavior, at least one of which resulted in an employee being moved to another department to avoid his boss's attention, while a number of bullying complaints against the same man resulted in staff leaving with payouts. Asked by the I if these also involved non disclosure agreements in 2018. A spokesman for the company said, I'm afraid we're going to have to decline to comment. Woof. Now that could mean a lot of things, right? Not really. We know what that means. Hey, Baron, Air Force One lands at the nearest major airport and then they fly Marine One and Two to their location. I was on Air Force One and Two security detail for 8 years. when they landed at LAX. Wow, that is really, really impressive. Now, did you keep any of the silverware? Well, you don't have to answer that. But I hear that sometimes that the cutlery and stuff comes up missing from Air Force One. And also they have little gifts that they give out. Oh boy, I would if I could fly an Air Force One just one time. Just one time. Um let's see. But we all know who did fly on Air Force One, don't we? We do know somebody. There we go. The Duchess of Sussex. Now, of course, Air Force One is designated by any plane that the president is flying on, right? So, in this instance, this is a Boeing 757, which has a different designation that is given by the Air Force. But anyway, this is one of several planes that are used by the president. He usually, or she usually is mostly the vice president uses the 757 whenever it lands at a smaller airport. It is like overpowered with those massive engines. They have nicknamed it the flying pencil because it's long and skinny. And Boeing doesn't make them anymore, but it is one of the favorite aircrafts of most airlines is the 757. And I don't know how many the feds have, but mostly the vice president uses it. And when Biden goes home to his home state, they don't have an airport big enough for the 757, so they take the 757. Okay, what a nerd I am, right? You guys have no idea. I'm really a nerd. Let's see. Wooten isn't tooting that horn. Now is he? Karma's a B word. Thank you so much for that, Legs. What was that Eartha Kitt said on Boomerang? My guess you don't have to toot your own horn. I won't finish that statement, but Marcus, darling. Oh my goodness, Eartha Kitt was hilarious. I don't know who was worse in that movie, Eartha Kitt or now that I say worse, I mean who was the funniest, Eartha Kitt or Grace Jones. They both had their moments. Oh, and if you haven't seen Boomerang, you don't know what you're missing. That was a fun movie. Thank you so much, Legs. Marcus. Okay, let me stop. You can tell I'm in a good mood, right? So, royal rival Kate Middleton has fallout with glamorous best friend and tells Prince William to phase her out. Notice the name down there, right? That exclusive by Dan Wootton back in 2019. The Duchess of Cambridge views Rose Hansberry as a royal rival, and the fallout is much worse than first thought. That was a woo woo story right there. Yes, that was an official woo woo. That is a woo woo story. He was the one who broke that. So it almost seems as though he has been given certain information that may be useful at another time, um, so that he might stop talking about something else. It's all hypothetical. We don't know what the truth is, but there you go. Grace Jones, she was the biggest hoot in the whole movie. Yeah, Grace Jones, I love her. She is wild. As a matter of fact, some of the stories that Dolph Lundgren told about Grace Jones, I love those stories. Like one time, Grace, according to Dolph Lundgren, was supposed to do a movie and they couldn't get a hold of her. And so they called him and asked him to go to check on her. And so it was because everyone at the movie or whatever the filming was terrified because she was known to carry iron every place that she goes. I'll say iron. And so Dolph said the first thing he had to do was to try to get in the house without getting injured. And so once he did, he had to take the clip out of the iron and try to talk to her. God, that was funny. But yeah, he had a relation. As a matter of fact, you could say it was Grace Jones that discovered Dolph Lundgren. Um, Riding down those city streets, waiting to get down. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, what's it all about? Woo woo. Is it just for the ones you hate? What's it all about? Wootin' tootin'. And if you're incarcerated, Dan Wootton, is it just for a month or a few years? I gotta stop. I gotta stop. Okay, so this is part of Harry's book, A Sad Little Man. The newspaper showbiz editor was said to be the lead reporter on the story. Why him? Why, of all people, the showbiz guy? Because lately he's refashioned himself into some sort of quasi royal correspondent, largely on the strength of his secret relationship with one particular close friend of Willie's, calm secretary who who fed him trivial and mostly fake gossip. He was sure to get everything wrong, as he'd gotten everything wrong on the last big exclusive, Tierra Gate. He was equally sure to cram his story into the paper as fast as possible because he was likely working in concert with the palace, whose courtiers were determined to get ahead of us and spin the story. Proceed, sad little man, proceed, Harry writes. So, Harry did not name any of these individuals, but we can pretty much use our imagination to figure out who he was actually referring to. And Fu says, Bear and I am still laughing at the snub Mean Girl got from Daniel Craig. People are taking note of how this Mean Girl bullied Megan. Absolutely. And you know, guys, the British actors in particular, they don't have any love for the Cambridges, as evident by the way they went strutting into the BAFTA Awards, and on two occasions, it was so quiet you could hear a rat piss on cotton. Nobody applauded. They stood up and they just looked. It was so quiet. And of course, both Will and Kate had a very awkward look on their faces the first time it happened. Then they didn't go the next year because, they said they couldn't, but come on. And then the following year, they came back to the BAFTAs. And what happened? They all stood around like they were figures at the Madame Tussauds. They all stood around like the terracotta warriors of China. Nobody moved. They didn't blink. It was like a squirrel hiding from prey in open sight. They did not move. And Will and Kate were utterly humiliated because no one applauded. No one made a sound. Nobody moved. The only gesture of deference was standing when they were announced. And that was it. They all sat down. And of course, it was on with the show. So the actors don't really care for them. Now, just another reminder, I shared this yesterday, I'll share it again. Jason Matthew Knopf somehow went from Texas, the worst thing to come out of Texas since George Bush W. George W. Bush, the worst thing to come out of Texas since George W. Bush, amongst other things that I can think of. Dan Wootton somehow wound up at the University of Wellington in New Zealand. Somehow he ends up at Victoria University of Wellington, where he made friends with Daniel John William Wootton. Yes, that's where he ended up. Now, somehow, Dan Wootton finds his way as a reporter in London and going through what was it, Royal Bank of Scotland, amongst other situations. Well, Jason Knopf, who, you know, is also a gay man, not to say that that has anything to do with it, but it seems like Kensington Palace was filled to the brim with gay men that just all happened to know each other. That's all, as though they were all from the same places, essentially. Interesting, which always makes me wonder about that sudden trip to that unannounced trip to Poland for a pulled pork sandwich. I mean, I don't know too many people who just end up in Poland at a restaurant that is known to cater to a certain crowd and they buy themselves a pulled pork sandwich. Serendipity? I don't think so. Um, so I'm just saying there is something going on here. Don't know what it is. So, on to something more positive, of course, because as we know, um, in spite of how we feel about Dan Wootton, for the people who, you know, had to be bothered with that nut job, um, their lives have been ruined, according to the reports. Lives have been ruined. Um, People have been paid out over $1 million or pounds, rather, amongst other things. So while we are taking glee in watching this monster fall, and we do hope that they fall in very hard and soon as possible, there are real life people that have been affected, and they will definitely need support, and some will even need encouragement so that they can speak their truth, whatever it might be. Again, there is no proof. I'm sorry. There is no. There hasn't been a trial or anything. The Met Police have not arrested anybody. So until his day in court, um, I guess as we say in the U.S., innocent until proven guilty, or like in other places, guilty until proven innocent. It depends on how you want to look at it. So Dan Wootton is entitled to his day in court if it goes that far. But as Annie Bullard says, hashtag Dan Wootton exposed. Okay, so a little reset and then we'll get on to Suits. Ready? All right, here we go. Hit it, Annie. Okay, Suits is Suits is having a bit of a renaissance thanks to Netflix. Suits is going through a bit of a renaissance. Let me explain. Nielsen streaming top 20, Suits leads with 2 billion minutes watched after Netflix debut. The Bear lands at number 5. Did you get that? Take a look here. Oh wait, I can't see that. Let me do this. Okay, nostalgia and comfort watches always have their place on the Nielsen weekly streaming rankings, with shows like NCI and Gilmore Girls regularly holding their own in competition with new hit series during the June 19th to 25th viewing window. A new old favorite took the number one position, Suits, the USA Network's legal drama that concluded in 2019 and recently landed on Netflix. Suits was watched for 2.3 billion minutes during this viewing period, which marked the first full week that a series has been available. The series has been available on Netflix, though it should be noted that Suits was already available on Peacock. And this statistic indicates viewerships across both streamers. This is the first time in nearly 4 months that a title has crossed the 2 billion minute mark on the Nielsen streaming top 10, with the most recent winner of that achievement being The Night Agent with 3.1 billion minutes watched from March 27th to April 2nd. Uh, and that happens even less with titles acquired from other networks rather than streaming originals. Manifest was the last with 2.5 billion minutes watched from June 21st through 27th of 2021. What do you think about that? Shut the front door. Shut the front door. They are killing it, right? They are killing it. Let me see. YM Droid says they also have ferret weasel faces. Ferret weasel faces. Let me see what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. They do look like something that would crawl up your leg and hop on your shoulder and just try to attack your eyes, don't they? Don't they? They all. Leg says Baldy plans to go to New York City for hoagie. Just saying. Well, then that means I am going to have to make another meme because, as for today, of course, it is tell me more about your pulled pork sandwich. But I'm going to have to make one for the hoagie, I suppose. Thank you so much for that, Legs. I'm glad you all in such a festive mood. We needed something to uplift us. Let's see. Lydia says, Baron, I kept telling the squaddies not watching. They are missing out. Suits is awesome. Fans from day one. Let me see. That was my introduction to Megan. All right. Well, you're right, and I'm one of those people who have not watched. So um, I knew I need to. B10, B10. How are you? Thank you so much for uh, saying hi to us. We've all been thinking about you and praying for you and your family. Um, as a matter of fact, there's a card for you on the community tab where people were leaving their thoughts and wishes and prayers for you. So, when you're up to it, check it out, please. But yeah, we were here thinking, wishing, and praying, and anyway, thank you so much for checking in on us. We appreciate it. Let me see. Yes, lots of hugs, lots of hugs. Oh, let me see. Lilo Haskins says, "Hi, B10. Hope you're doing well." Yeah, and for those of you who did go over to the community tab, thank you so much for sharing. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Um, let's see here. Oh, nope, that's not it. Okay. I wanted to show you guys what it looks like, but not sure. Oh, is this it? Yeah. Let me try this one. Let me try this one. I think this is it. Nope, that is not it. Okay, sorry about that. All right. I don't remember what day that was. That's why I can't find it. But anyway, we're glad you're here with us. Uh, nope, nope, not that, not that. Let me try one more. You know, once I'm fixated on doing something, I can never let it go. No, and I cannot find it. But okay. But anyway, you guys, it is on the community tab. So if you haven't left a kind word for B10 yet, you can go over there to the community tab. Okay, and let me see here. Where did I leave off? Oh, I was there. Oh, spare. So, of course, this is from the 4th of July. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, has become one of the best selling books of 2023 in a list dominated by self help books. The book was released on the 11th January 2023 and gave an insight into the workings of the British royal family. So, one of the ways that they're trying to distract us is by claiming, I won't even tell you which tabloid, but they're saying that Spare has been one of the most, actually, the most discarded book of 2023. Well, you know why? Actually, I wouldn't say discarded. I would say there were copies that were misplaced because so many people on vacation finished Spare and just did not take it back. So they left it behind for other people to enjoy. And there was one resort in particular where they said there were, or was it one resort town where they said there were at least 100 copies. Well, those were people that finished the book. They want us to believe that that's something negative, but the reason why there's so many discarded books is because there were so many printed and so many sold. The best-selling nonfiction book of 2023. Rosita Consitas, that is, thank you so much for 12 months membership. Thank you so much for that. Good thing I opened another screen. So yes, that's why. Okay, let me pull this down so I can see it. There we go. According to a report by Forbes, Prince Harry's 416-page memoir is the best-selling nonfiction book in the U.S. with more than 1 million copies sold. The report noted that nonfiction category had rocky start to the year, lagging behind adult and young adult fiction until the launch of Spare by the Duke of Sussex. Soon after it launched, Spare became the fastest selling nonfiction book in the United States since 2024. It also became one of the coveted top three bestsellers in its first week, behind Barack Obama's A Promised Land and Michelle Obama's Becoming. Apart from Prince Harry's book, all the other books on nonfiction list were self-help books, an industry that has flourished between 2013 and 2019, with the number of titles published more than doubling in that period. Forbes reported that Atomic Habits by James Clear was the second best selling book in the US with over is that five 5,000? Wait, that's not 5,000, is it? Anyway, I took this, well, not 5,000. That's got to be more than 5,000. What is that? Let's say 500,000. I think that comma doesn't belong there. 500,000 copies sold. Other bestseller books in the nonfiction category include Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, and 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Meanwhile, another new royal book is coming out in paperback next week, which will make many shocking revelations about the royals, including Kate wanting a tougher response to Harry and Meghan and King Charles clearing out following the death of the Queen. Okay, well, good luck with that book. You're going to need it. Wow, Harry's book has been out for over 6 months, says one of the squaddies, has over 92,000 reviews, is rated at 4.5 stars, and still in the still in the top 5 on Amazon bestseller list. Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, Queen. Speaking of queens, thank you all so much for watching Royal Sussex. I know you don't believe it either, but I'm done. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you kindly for your generous contributions. They are greatly appreciated by Royal Sussex. And also, thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Thank you all for the information you share, like about the airports and among other things. Also, thank you on behalf of all of the content creators for supporting one of these Sussex friendly channels like VS Speaks Royally and Claire Kane. And Petal was on earlier, so you guys make sure you catch that. Petal was like really well, you guys know how Petal is. Petal, her ability to recall these things is extraordinary. I have to really take my hat off because every day that I do this, I have to make sure that in some kind of way I am worthy. And by saying that, I mean I have to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can so that I can be as detailed and precise and authentic as possible because Petal has been extraordinary. I cannot say that enough. So, um, oh, I didn't get a chance to see BS today. I was still asleep. Wait, no, Petal came on early today. Maybe that's what. Oh, y'all was on at about the same time, weren't you? Okay, BS, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna make it a point to get over there. Thank you so much. I usually sleep through VS. If y'all haven't figured that out by now, I usually stay up late at nights, but this was a early day for me. So, all right, I will make sure. And do we have the link for VS? Do we have the link for VS? I even posted the link and I missed it, didn't I? Wait, I just thought about it. VS link is in the community tab, you guys. I even posted the link and said, meet me over there and got distracted. I am so sorry, VS. I am so sorry. I put the link. This is so embarrassing. I put the link on the community tab and still didn't watch it and got a reminder too. Oh, well. It was so much news today, you guys. I didn't watch all of Petal either, but I need to catch up. And hopefully, Anne will be on today. Usually she's on right now, I think, but hopefully she'll be on today. So, yeah. So, anyway, thank you, all content creators, for keeping our attention where it belongs. And anyway, I will be looking for the last word very soon. I'm so embarrassed. I actually linked it now that I think about it. I mean, that was the last thing I did before I went to bed at about 2 a.m. Oh, man. Okay. Don't worry, you guys. I'll get it together. I usually do. All right. So, with that, you guys. Oh, let me see. I'm looking for the last word of the day. Let me see. Come on, you guys. Something compelling. Time to cook dinner. Well, that's a good one, but I was thinking of something a little more unifying. Um, hmm. Well, you know what? I was even thinking, what if I have to come back on later? Because it might be something, you know, juicy that drops later. So we'll see. uh, Let me see. Okay, I'm still looking for. Oh, Sherry has a donation list. Thank you, Sherry. And I missed that yesterday too. So let me hop on that. Mm, Byline investigates. Oh, by the way, you guys, if you want to support Byline investigate, one of the squatties on the Twitter was saying that if you can just send $5, I'm going to have to make sure that I send a donation myself. I will do that. Okay, thank you for your contributions, 10, Chef Sandy Love, Elaine Parker, Legs, YM Droid, and Rosita Casitas. Thank you for 12 months membership. All right. All right, you guys. Um, hmm, okay. Well, I mean, after all, Megan has been on Air Force One. All right. Thank you, Cookies and Cream. Thank you for rescuing me. Everyone, please stay safe, pray, don't peg, and hydrate. All right. And with that, you guys, love you. I will see you all tomorrow unless something else happens tonight. See what happened when I go on this early? I get myself all confused. Oh man. Okay. So I feel like I'm missing something. What have I forgotten to do? What have I forgotten to do? Okay. I went through all the slides. That was it. I think because I'm finishing so fast, that's why I'm confused. Yes, thank you, Sherry Ware. That is why I'm confused. Okay. So, with that, you guys, love you. See you tomorrow. And I'm going to cue the Ginger Avenger. And then we're out of here. Wow, that was fast. It was early. I just don't know what to do with myself. This is really terrible news, you guys, and I don't take it lightly. But uh, it is about time. I mean, so, we all knew that there was a story there, didn't we? We knew there was a story there, and it is high time that they get their comeuppance. You know what I mean? It's much easier to blame anything uncomfortable on racism rather than accept the fact that the negativity toward them is coming from within the royal family. Well, how does it feel? All right, you guys, good night.